Hey everyone! So they just dropped a new Scarlet and Violet trailer, and this is the first time I haven't been this excited for a Pokemon game in an awful long time. So let's dive into it. So going through the trailer, this is probably the first time my pros list is way larger than my con list. Going through the trailer, I haven't been this excited, like I said, I couldn't tell you how long. So first off, I want to start, I absolutely love the Pokemon designs that they kind of went with this generation so far. So I made a video kind of going through my wish list and talking about the designs. I just think they are perfect. I love them so far. Something else on my wish list I talked about too that I'm really excited for is the towns. Just confirmed, the towns look way more fleshed out than Sword and Shield so far. It looks like there's more to do, so this is crossing my fingers that it stays that way, and it looks like they might have a little more culture and a little more charm to them that made some previous Pokemon games exciting. So I'm really hoping that's the case, and that's kind of what I got a glimpse of. So I'm really still hoping for that and excited, so I would say that's definitely a pro in my book from what we've seen so far. And every Pokemon I noticed as they were going through, and I think they confirmed it in the trailer, can terrassicize. Sounds like I'm saying something from Jurassic Park or something. But terrassicize? I can't pronounce it.
Terrestrialized.
But every Pokemon can do that, which is really cool for competitive battling. A lot of the other gimmicks that happen in Pokemon games, most of the time were just specifically to one Pokemon. So I think this might be the first time this is fleshed out to most every Pokemon. And the fact that they can change types really kind of changes the game if you can use that competitive battling. Whether it's going to make the game easier or harder, we'll see. But I'm really excited. I think that's really cool. So something else I did notice, it looks like Legends Arceus not only was just a great game on its own, but it looks like they took used that as like a test pilot, it seems like, for the open world stuff. Plus, the Let's Go command they have. The Let's Go command they announced in this looks really, really cool. So some of the old school, I guess, going through, and my hardest part with going back to these older games is going through and doing the turn-based stuff. And this game has that, it looks like. But it also has a Let's Go feature where if you want to just train quickly, you can go send out your Pokemon and train pretty quickly. You know, you might not gain as much XP. We'll see how that works. But you can go and just quickly take something down, go to the next Pokemon, take something down. I did notice that there was an XP all, it looked like, so I'm assuming there is an XP all. I'm hoping you can turn that off for difficulty's sake, but we'll see how that pans out. I don't like how they kind of forced that on. I kind of wish they took that off. But I do love the roaming Pokemon. I love the Let's Go stuff, so I'm not going to really complain. It just looks like a huge push overall. So I also saw Camolia. I think that it's the Koala Pokemon. I'm just personally excited because I need them for my shiny decks, so now I don't have to fire up an old game and transfer it all the way up, so I'm really pumped about that one. Thank you, Game Freak, for that one. And the customization on your character looks way more fleshed out. So I felt like Sword and Shield, you constantly had to go to different towns to get a certain customization. I was looking at guides online. It just one location, unless they just did it for the trailer. It looks like there were just way more options for customization. So that in itself, I'm really excited for as well. That looks really cool. So the next thing I guess they went through that was kind of unique. We've seen it before in other games, but they have like the camping, and I think they took a stab. I know they had it in Legends, and they also had it, not this fleshed out, but they had it in other games where you could go and like pet your Pokemon, play with your Pokemon. It's like a combination of all that, where it's like you build a campsite. And they had it in Sword and Shield. I just never used it. That shows you right there, I forgot. But the unique part I noticed about this is it looks like eggs are there. So my question is, did they get rid of the daycare? I would be really, really shocked if that's the case. I don't know how they would get rid of that. I feel like it's a staple. And for Masuda method breeding and stuff like that. So I would be shocked if they got rid of that, but I'm curious if that's just an extra feature or if that's really how you're going to harvest eggs. So we need more details on that. moving forward to see how that's going to work. But that looks really exciting. That's another way to get eggs. So the last thing I wanted to talk about here, with the actual Pokemon specifically, one of the evolutions they showed was for Farigiraf. So Farigiraf, I think that's how you pronounce it. That looks really cool. I'm always a hit or miss when they do new Pokemon evolutions based off of older ones, because sometimes for me it might ruin it a little bit, but this one I'm in love. I think it's really cool, so I like that they did that. Some Pokemon need it, let's be real, so I'm really glad that they took that step. It looks awesome. I'm really excited. Kind of falling in line with this generation's designs. I just think it's really cool, but also having that old style with it. So I'm really excited for that one. And I guess one of the most exciting things going up to, I think it was Team Star, their base. The Team Star base, that was really cool. I was not expecting that. I think that might be one of the better features. It depends how they implement it. I don't know how many they're going to be, but it was cool how you just go through and do the Let's Go command and take them down quickly, and then the boss is like a full-blown battle. I think that's really cool and really unique, and I'm really excited to see what that looks like. The one disappointing I did see, the entrance of the gate looked really, really cool, but the flame the graphics on the flame looked terrible. But besides that, it looked really, really, really cool, so I'm excited to see what that is. And just the combination that there's gym battles, the Team Star, it seems like that's going to be its own story. I don't know if that's the third story they're talking about. Then they have the treasure stuff, so we will see, but I'm really, really, really excited for this Pokemon game coming up. So I kind of went to go through, those are the pros I have, so let's dive into the cons. I wanted to start with, there's no Pinsir confirmed yet, so that's my own personal con, my favorite Pokemon there. So joking around though, I really didn't have many cons for this. I was really excited, and even that said, diving into my cons, I had a pro in there because I was so excited writing it in, but one of the pros I had was the exploration of the map. It just looks awesome. It looks like it's big, so I'm hoping it stays that way, but that was something I put in the cons by accident because I was just typing so quickly because I was so excited. But I guess the biggest con I had so far, and I'm hoping it was just the way they did the trailer, was Pokemon just looked like they were standing around, and I'm pretty confident, I would assume that was just for the trailer, but the Pokemon just looked like they were just standing around, so I hope they're at least walking. And one of my wish lists that I said probably wouldn't happen was they had more personality. I think for me this kind of confirms that's definitely not happening, but that said, I'm sure they're going to be walking around. It's just, from the trailer perspective, it makes me a little nervous because I saw all the trailers, we saw they were moving around, so I'm curious just to see how that dynamic works. Like, are they standing around just for certain events? Were they doing it just for the trailer? Are there going to be certain areas where you can only do the Let's Go? Is it when you're online they stand around? I'm curious to see. So I wouldn't say it's more of a con, it's more of a question, but that's kind of what I put in my con section as I was going through as my big thing. And I would say the next largest thing is the frame rate and graphics. The frame rate really, really dropped when some floor was up, in particular in multiple shots. But at a few spots, the frame rate dropped, and I don't want to blame Game Freak entirely because I think that's more of a Switch hardware issue that we're seeing across the board right now in a lot of games, and I made a video on that, so check that out if you want to see me talk about how we need a Nintendo Switch Pro, and this is a perfect example of why. But I know Game Freak isn't innocent in this either. Sword and Shield definitely got slammed for graphics for not taking that big leap. This game, I wasn't expecting it to take that big leap just based off of what they did with Sword and Shield. So I would say it's similar, maybe a little more improved in some areas. It looks gorgeous in some areas. In other areas, it looks like it could use some work. So I'm hoping there's a little more polish. It seems to be worked, but it's just how Pokemon is right now. They're focusing on the open world, and I agree and think they should be taking that direction, focus on that, getting all the Pokemon in, then kind of buff up the graphics where you can. And hopefully new hardware comes out to help fix that frame rate and stuff. But that was kind of, looking at the trailer, I saw it skip a few times and the frame rate drop, and I'm just like, that shouldn't be happening in a trailer especially, so that worries me about the game when it comes out. But overall, I was expecting it, so I'm not as bummed about it. It's more of, it is what it is. That's where we're at with Pokemon and the Switch hardware, so we'll see what happens. But the last thing I wanted to talk about with a con, and I would say it's not much more of a con, was the legendaries. I don't like getting the legendaries early because I feel like they're being utilized more as a utility versus actually being a legendary. So for now, I would say it's a con, but it's more of a worry for me because I kind of enjoy getting the Pokemon during a special event. I know they're always the main story; they don't have to be in the main story, but I always like just finding them or having to work towards the end and getting them, and maybe getting that extra bump if you weren't that high of a level, or just having that exciting experience going and finding them versus. I don't know how we're going to get them, but getting handed them and just riding around on them, or riding and it running, I don't know what's going on with the two legendaries. It makes no sense why this wheel is the one, but that's, I guess, my other, I would say, concern. So it's interesting because going through my cons, they're more concerns than actual, or I would say, worries, or just first negative thoughts versus actual cons. I mean, it looks great. The game itself looks this great, and I haven't been this excited for a Pokemon game in an awful long time. So yeah, so we'll see what happens comes in November, but those are my initial thoughts on the trailer. If you like just discussions like this, please feel free to subscribe and let me know your thoughts on the trailers down below. What are some things that I may have missed, some things that you love, some things that you may be concerned about? What are your thoughts on the trailer? I'm just really eager to hear all of your thoughts. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.